Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Ooh. All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first Clay Counts Connection podcast. My name is Matt Weller. I am the Clay Counts Community Coalition Coordinator, and we want to welcome you to this. It's a brainchild of myself and Lori Martin, who is the head of Clay Counts Coalition. And very first episode that we have, I thought that we would bring in some key members to our YLinK program through Clay Center Community High School. So first of all, I want to welcome Raegann McDonald, an outgoing senior, and Kate Larson, an incoming freshman, who have been and will be part of YLinK organization. So first of all, ladies, thanks for being here. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, first of all?
So I've been in Clay Center my whole life. My parents are Sean and Tracy McDonald, and I recently finished up my senior year, and now I am headed to Kansas Wesleyan to play basketball next year and major in pre-physical therapy.
Um, yeah, I grew up in Clay Center too, and my parents are Lori and David Larson, and I'm gonna be on the tennis team this year. This is my first year being involved in YLinK because I'm a freshman, and yeah.
Great. So Raegann, let's start with you because you have been in YLinK, and was it started your freshman year?
Yeah.
So you've been in it all 4 years. You've been key member. You were president your senior year. Were you president junior year too?
I was president since freshman year.
Okay. So you were a 4-year letterman in YLinK. So first of all, I think the biggest thing is a lot of people probably don't know, outside of the high school, don't know what YLinK is.
Right.
So why don't you explain a little bit just what it stands for? What's the goal of the organization?
Okay, so YLinK stands for Youth Leaders in Kansas, and it's all across the state. And basically, it just aims to amplify youth voice in every school. So when I first became president my freshman year, myself and Isabel Blackwood, we kind of took over, and it was very much like substance use and drug use prevention. And we decided we really wanted to spin it into more of mental health and just really reducing the stigma around mental health and preventing suicide. And so we went to Lori and we were like, hey, like, we think that you really need to go to the beginning of the problem because our theory is that students abuse drugs and alcohol because they're struggling with their mental health. So we kind of spun it around and decided to tackle mental health, and it's gone really great for us. And that's the great thing about YLinK is that it allows you to do that. It's just a platform for students and doesn't put them in a box.
Yeah. And I think that's great because Kansas Communities That Care, which is a survey that is given to every 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th grader in Kansas, including in Clay Center and Wakefield in our school district, shows that our drug and alcohol use has gone way down, which is a great representation of Clay Counts and the work that they've done. However, mental health issues have gone up with kids. And so I think making that switch is probably a good way to go about it. So what did being president for 4 years entail?
So it kind of just fell into my lap, if I'm being honest. I remember joining at the end of my freshman year, and about 2 weeks later, I went to a meeting, and they were like, "Okay, we need a president," and everyone just kind of elected me. So then all of a sudden, I was 14 and the president of this club I hardly knew anything about. But I planned meetings every month, and I had to set the monthly agenda. But beyond that, it really blossomed from like leading my high school chapter to going throughout the state and even on the national level. So I'd make the agenda and we planned what we called fifth quarters, which were after home football games. And the cool thing about that is when I first started, they were very new. We hadn't really had a fifth quarter before. And by the time we got to my senior year, it was like, well, like, when's the fifth quarter? Like, what are we doing after the game? And so that was really cool to see. And I also, Lori had to teach me how to delegate. And that was a little tough for me sometimes. But really, it just helped a lot of people grow and grow their leadership skills, but also grow relationships between each other. And I think that's one of the great things about YLinK was that it gave me friends like throughout all 4 grade levels. And that's something I wouldn't have a lot of my friends if it weren't for the program.
Good. So there's 30 counties. I don't even know if you know this. There's 30 counties in Kansas that currently have a YLinK chapter. However, just to blow your horn, and our YLinK, I mean, we're extremely well known across the state for being and really across the nation for being one of the best YLinK chapters out there. So my question to you is, why do you think that is?
I think it's just because we have the power, we have the ability to decide what we want to see change and what impact we want to make. And we have the adults that are willing to help us get there. And it's never been, well, you can't do that. It's, what do you want to do? Here are the ways I can go about that. And maybe we should brainstorm something a little bit different just because of like resources, supplies, etc. But we've had some pretty outlandish ideas that have kind of come true. Like, we've been able to host pool parties and do arcade nights and hand out like just pop-ups around the high school. And so just to see like the community support, I think that's been a big deal. But also we just have the youth that want to make a change and are really motivated because of things that have happened in their own lives. And that just really has put us ahead of the other counties, I think.
Great. And you talk a lot about Clay Center, but our Wiley chapter has gone outside of Clay Center and done a lot of things. I mean, you've been to conferences both in state and then nationally. So talk a little bit about the places that you've been and what you've done. And you've also presented in those.
Yes, yes. So the first conference I ever got to really attend was I've been to our state YLinK conference 3 years in a row now. And it was actually at my first one that I was awarded the Circle of Excellence Award through the state of Kansas. And after that, I went to Dallas for what we call CADCA Midyear, which CADCA stands for Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America. And I like to think it's like the national version of YLinK. And they have a youth board called ENYAC, which is their National Youth Action Council, which I've been a part of for 2 years. And through that, I've been able to travel to both Salina, and then I'm part of a board throughout the state of Kansas that meets in Wichita every month. So I've been able to present there, and we recently hosted a statewide conference for all the YLinK chapters in Kansas, and I got to give a presentation on suicide prevention and speaking with your legislatures, which was really cool. And then I also got to travel to Chicago last year, and I'm going to Nashville next week to continue my work with YLinK. But the cool thing about that is through ENYAC, this national board that I'm on, I have been given the opportunity to be kind of a host for the youth portion of the event. So I got to do that last year in Chicago. I'm super excited to do it again this year in Nashville because I really believe in relationships. That's definitely been the best part of YLinK for me, is just the people I've met and the friendships I've been able to make all across the country. And so in doing that, I'm really excited to just go to Nashville and really meet all these other people who are so passionate about the same things I am, because it's really helped me to learn like there are so many different viewpoints and perspectives, and it's just things that I never would have guessed before. And so between that and I've gotten to go to Topeka and give presentations on mental health. I've spoken throughout the community on the importance of suicide prevention and within our own school district. But overall, it's just given me a voice, and that's something that I've always known I wanted to do, was advocate, but I never really had the means to do so, and mine that gave me that.
Great. Um, so, okay, let's move on to you now. So no pressure, first of all. That's all that's been accomplished. So, but first of all, you're just starting. Okay. So, explain why YLinK interested you.
Well, so kind of all through middle school, I was seeing a lot of problems in my school with like bullying, and um that bullying was like related to racism and like making fun of students with disabilities and just all this stuff. And I didn't really see uh adults or people in power like working to make a change because they either didn't know what it meant, or I don't know. But and so I've always like really wanted to make a difference in people's lives, but as a kid I haven't quite understood how to do that because I haven't had like a platform or anything like that. So I kind of struggled with that in middle school, and it bothered me personally, even though like the bullying wasn't really directed at me. But so one day I went and talked to Mr. Brummett, who is a YLinK sponsor, but I wasn't like in YLinK yet. But I went and talked to him about it because I was really upset, and he just kind of suggested like, what if you did this? What if you did that? And so at the beginning of my 8th grade year, I organized. It was called the Blue Ribbon thing. It didn't really, I don't know, like if you put a blue ribbon on your backpack, you're symbolizing that you don't stand for bullying and stuff. And then my friend Cambry and we put together a couple of counseling lessons for the 6th and 7th graders about the effects of bullying, and then went and talked to the teachers about it. But I think why I'm like really drawn to YLinK is because it's like it's gonna give me a platform to like do stuff, and like by myself with other people, kind of like what Raegann said, it's student led and adult guided. So if I see a problem, then I get to take the initiative. I have that privilege and the responsibility, which I think is just gonna be really nice. Like, it's kind of empowering. So I'm not just like sitting around waiting for someone else to make it happen. Like, I have the ability and the means through which to like go make a difference and help people.
I mean, that blue ribbon is this perfect example of student-led that Raegann talked about, of having empowering you to do something on your own. You also made a video that we shared at the last Clay Counts meeting, and we're also gonna share with our staff, I believe, during the staff kickoff in August, talking about some of these issues that I think that you did a really nice job of that. And so it's gonna be, again, your voice is gonna be heard in multiple avenues, which is great. So what would be some of your goals with YLinK in the next 4 years?
Well, I think I'd like to kind of keep working at the middle school a lot because I think that's where the problems with bullying like kind of start is when kids there's like all these big topics that are uncomfortable to process, and so instead of talking about them we turn them into jokes, and then that really hurts people, I think. So like going back to the middle school, Cambria and I kind of just want to go back and maybe do some more counseling lessons, maybe talk to the teachers a bit more, interview kids. I don't know. Yeah. This is I technically this is my first summer to be in YLinK.
Right.
I wasn't even like at the end of the school year.
Yep.
But I went to that state YLinK conference and it was just like there are all these ideas for advocating and helping people and building relationships with people. So yeah, I don't know.
And that was earlier this summer, right?
Yeah.
So you got all these ideas spinning in your head right now. What's neat about YLinK too is that they do find ways to work in the other school buildings. Like, for example, give an example, talk about the Garfield, the teammates.
Oh, right.
Uh,
We've done so much that like I never forget about some of these projects. So there's Teammates, the adult mentoring program that goes through Garfield and Lincoln, and we decided that we wanted to start what we called Teammates, which basically matches up high school students with the Garfield students. So how we went about it was we started out with just bringing like this group of 10 high school students down to Garfield every week or multiple times a week to eat lunch with them, go to recess with them, just build that initial connection. And then from there, each student had what we called like their specialty. So something that either they had gone through the same thing or they just knew a lot about it. And these things could range from like confidence to like making friends or losing friends or having a parent go through a divorce, anything like that. And just dealing with your own mental health and fear about like growing up. And so then we had like breakout groups for all of the students that wanted to go to them during their lunch and recess period where they could go and they could hear from these high school students who have been through the same thing. And then I think what the most important thing about that was after these breakout groups in the coming weeks, we still went down and had those times with them during recess and lunch. We continued those relationships and could check up on them. And some of the kids that I was with, like they're older now and they're in middle school and they text me all the time. It's just been really cool to see them grow up and feel like they have that mentor and they have that person. Because I remember I really wanted that in elementary school. And so to know that they have that has just been really empowering.
now. And that kind of goes back with what Case talked about, if you can teach them that kind of stuff before they get to middle school and say, hey, this is coming, this is how you can handle that. I think that would be a big help too. So Lori Martin is a Clay Counts grant coordinator, and you've talked about a lot of things. Lori does a really good job of having it be student run, but she is a really good leader and generator of ideas. And so Clay Counts helps fund all kinds of different things. YLinK is one of them that she helps. She's also the high school sponsor.
Yes.
So how has she helped the organization thrive, in your opinion?
I could pretty much say without a doubt that like Lori's completely changed the trajectory of my life. Like I remember my junior year, she came to me and we were about to have that community commitment night. It was pretty early in the planning process. And she was like, we'd like you to give the welcome. And I remember being like, no. So I just said I didn't want to do that. That's way too scary. So I kind of walked away from it. And a couple weeks later, I realized that I really should probably do that. And she was like, I agree. Like, you really need to go out and do this. And I remember her like helping me write it, but definitely not like guiding me through it, like just giving me a couple ideas and starting points. But she's always encouraged me to go out and do what I think needs to be done. And even preparing for this trip to Nashville, she's talked to me about like this is your thing. Like, you have to go out and you have to make this change and be your own person, but she's always going to be there to guide us through it. And she's really exemplified that in the way she helps us with our YLinK chapter, because she's never overstepped. She comes up with some great names for our events, but she also has just guided us through it and given us a lot of the logistical advice that you don't think about as a 15, 16-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. What do you have to say to somebody who's thinking about joining YLinK? What would you say to them and to try to encourage them to be part of it?
If you see a problem that you feel like needs to be solved, then don't wait for someone else to do it. Like, you're probably seeing this issue for a reason, and I think YLink's a really good way to kind of get um, improve your leadership skills and come up with new ideas to help address issues that you see. Um, Kind of like the thing with Lori, I met her about a month ago, and she's already given me like so many like new ideas to help the community. And like I just think that YLink's really good because it's student led, and you have the ability to go make a difference.
Well, great. Well, thank you, ladies, for being a part of the first ever podcast.
Thank
Good luck next year, Kansas Wesleyan. Good luck next year as a freshman coming up. I invite everybody to come to our Clay Counts Coalition meetings. They're the second Wednesday of every month at the district board office, 807 Dexter. Raeggann's been to many of them. I bet Kate will be at many of them coming forward. And it's a great way to learn about everything and all the great things that are going on in our community in regards to just community involvement and, like they said, leadership opportunities. So we will catch you next time on the Clay Counts Connection.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Ooh.